What made you decide to take the path that you did into wrestling?
Well, I never had a dream to be a professional wrestler. I was in bodybuilding. I was pursuing a career in chiropractic. I was going to school in Atlanta, Georgia, and working out and exercising was part of that whole experience, you know, education. And I was doing some amateur bodybuilding, wanting to be a professional bodybuilder. And Atlanta, Georgia was a hotbed for professional wrestling at the time. NWA was really big then. And I didn't know any of the wrestlers, but I frequented all the different gyms in the area in Maricopa County or Marietta County, wherever it was, right outside of Atlanta. And an opportunity came up. Somebody asked me if I wanted to get in wrestling. I was about at the end of my school, and I thought it was a great lateral move for me. I wanted to open my own practice when I get out. I didn't want to go to work for anybody. And like other people that are ignorant about others on television, I thought, you know, if you get on TV, those guys must make a lot of money. So one thing led to the next. I went to California and I got hooked up with a group out there. Sting was a part of it, Steve Borden at the time. And our ignorance was probably our savior, because we thought we had enough training just after a few hours. So we started making contacts with the local outlaw regional wrestling territory, starting in Tennessee. And but it wasn't a dream of mine to be a professional wrestler. A lot of guys, when I got to that level in bodybuilding, I saw that a lot of guys, they couldn't make a career out of their bodybuilding. So it was natural for me to think, you know, I'm wanting to be successful, wanting to set goals for myself, that if I could use my body in professional wrestling to make money, then that would be great.
And you still look to be in fantastic shape. So
oh, thank you.
What would be the key to keeping such
You're
good
kind.
shape?
No, I am. I mean, I'm really in great shape, you know, with as much modesty as I guess I can conjure up. I still love exercising. I'm still very intense about my exercise. I would still put my reputation on the line in any gym with anybody else about the intensity I put forth in my workouts. My body weight is lower, about 35 pounds, mostly because of the food and the commitment. I mean, to have that kind of weight and carry that kind of muscle mass around, it's a full-time job. You know, it's something you have to constantly focus on. And when I was making money doing it, then it was a different thing. You know, I have another career now, I got a family, and when I'm home back in the States, I just don't have the desire to eat every 2 or 3 hours to keep that kind of weight on. So still very much in exercising and working out. Love it.
Cool. I mean, as you mentioned, you've moved on into another career now. You're doing public speaking.
Yeah.
What made you decide to go from wrestling to public speaking? Because it's quite a bit of it's kind of similar but very different in another way.
Well, I wanted to keep, you know, I had some very serious fallouts with Vince McMahon, and it was before it became WWE, and there were a bunch of other people. I mean, back when I was in it, basically the talent got the ball and you ran with it. If you didn't fumble it, you kept getting the ball. You developed your character. You came up with all your creative storylines. You and the other talent, like if I was working with Macho Man or Rick Rude, we would come up with our soap opera thing that was really happening. The office was made up of about 2 or 3 people. Yeah. You went to Vince, you know, I went straight to Vince. Yeah. Now there's a whole chain of command, and I hear that there's politics involved and stuff like that. If there were politics when I was in it, I didn't know it. I just worked hard and created my own spot in the business. But what was the question?
It was, why did you decide to move into public speaking?
The public speaking. Well, I had these fallouts with Vince in them, and I had to, by necessity, really build another career. Yes, to pay my bills, but more so because one of the lessons I've learned, lessons I've learned in having success, is that it was never the money, it was never the fame, it was never the celebrity that was satisfying to me. It was setting goals and achieving them. Yeah. So, you know, I was in my mid-30s. I wasn't just going to sit or retire and just not do anything. It'd be really great if young kids got that, and that's one of the things I try to do when I go out and talk to young kids, is have them get that look, what is going to be fulfilling for you in your life is the work itself.
That's right.
You know, not the big goals are sort of going to be anticlimactic. Like when I got in wrestling, I set a goal to become the best in it. When I had my match with Hogan, it was sort of anticlimactic, because here I had been pushing and driving to achieve a goal, to be the best in it. And there wasn't any greater statement than that match that I had with Hogan, to say Ultimate Warrior is a character that made it and was successful in the business. So I started with a real simple idea, just going out talking to young people, all different ages, small kids, elementary school kids, junior high school, college kids, just that, look, man, if you have this incredible potential in your life, you know, that you've been given just because you have life.
Yeah.
And no matter what you've believed up to this point, if you make the right choices and you choose to do things with your life, you can have an incredible life.
So it's the power of choice, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. I mean, you're born with the brain, and you can make your brain into a mind. Everybody has the potential. One of the things I did when I got out of wrestling, because I was on the road like 300 some odd days a year, is I redirected my energy into this learning journey. I started reading the great books of the Western world, all the great classical literature and stuff. It became something of mine. It just became something I wanted to do. And I attacked it with the same intensity as I did my working out and exercising. And it was an incredible experience for me to learn all this stuff. And the first time I went out to the college campuses, and I wanted to talk about serious ideas, and I got this glazed over look back from college students. It really hit me that there's a problem in our education system, that we're teaching people how to be almost robotic. They're learning technical skills to go out and make a paycheck and get a job, but they're not being enlightened about what it means to be a human being, and their potential as a human being, and what their responsibilities are as a human being. And so that became a pursuit of mine. I thought to myself, the first few times I went out to the college campus, I said, there's got to be young college kids that are getting it on a deeper level.
Yeah.
And so I hooked up with some what would be conservative organizations at the time, and did find some of those kids. But in the last years, I've seen a lot of hypocrisy and a lot of phoniness and stuff. And but the public speaking, yeah, that's something that I do, that I'm doing.
And so in your public speaking, so you're preaching about obviously the ideas and trying to make people listen and stuff like that. So I mean, has there ever been a time when you thought when you said no, they're not just getting it, you just thought I might as well not be here and walled off, or did, as you say, use the intensity that you have and just drove the point home to them?
Yeah, I mean, I go out and I talk with the same passion, and I don't pull my punches about anything. When I was a little kid, I was the one kid in the whole group of kids that got it, and things changed my life. Like when a person walked into my life, my dad left when I was young, and this football coach stepped into my life. I got into exercise. It changed it changed my attitude about my life. It changed the way my beliefs about myself, and it changed the direction of my life.
Yeah.
I don't go out trying to make friends. Matter of fact, I start my speeches by saying, look, I'm not here. Most of the kids, a lot of them are wrestling fans. They knew the Ultimate Warrior. Yeah. A lot of times when I'm speaking, you know, if I go to a college campus, they're 17, 18, 19 years old, all of a sudden everybody's face will turn into a 10-year-old kid's. Because at the peak of my career, they were 10 years old. But I start my speeches by telling them that I'm not there to be their friend. It's not my goal to be their friend. I'm there to be a mentor. I'm 45 years old. The last thing 45-year-old man needs to do, especially somebody with unique life experiences such as mine, is go out and try to befriend 20-year-old kids. That's the problem we got going on in our culture today, is parents want to be friends, they don't want to be parents, and too many adults want to still behave like kids. And our society depends on that. When you grow up, you should think and act like it. It's just that simple for me. And so I go out and I talk, and it does have an impact on them, because they see that I talk with the same passion and intensity as the Ultimate Warrior, the very thing that hooked them when they were wrestling fans and they got Ultimate Warrior. That's the hook, was the hook. You know, there's a lot of different things, go down the list, but that's the thing, man, was the intensity and passion and the just drumming up this energy that, you know, people felt. I do that in my speaking engagements, and I talk about serious ideas. And no, they're not going to get it all in an hour and a half, but I'm going to plant little seeds. And they're going to get it, that their life, where they end up in their life, is their responsibility. It's nobody else's. And so I emphasize those things. I call it a conservative philosophy of life, but it really doesn't have anything to do with politics. It's more philosophically. There are things that have worked since the beginning of time, going back to the days of the cavemen, that have brought us to the place that we are today. Yeah. You know, where we can have all the creature comforts and stuff that we do, where we can have all the securities that we do, where we can have all the safety and enjoyments that we do in this, you know, this 21st century. And it starts with that people used to think and provide for themselves. And we're building, you know, for a few generations we've been building the idea that you're not responsible for your life, that you can just dismiss it, that somebody else will pick up your tab. And that's not the way life works. And my goal is to go out and create a resurgence of people, young kids. And it happens, I know it does, of people who come up through their life and they realize that. And I do it most importantly, I do it because I got 2 little kids. I got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Me and my wife want to have 2 more kids. They're going to grow up in this world, man. Yeah. And it's a little scary out there.
You're trying to make it a better place for them.
Yeah.
That's commendable, very commendable.
Yeah.
If there was a lot more people like that, maybe we wouldn't be in the situation we're in now, as you say, so it's very commendable.
Yeah.
And so today, you're at the Expo, you've been here since yesterday as well.
Mm-hmm.
What has it been like meeting the fans? Because a lot of the fans haven't been able to get out to America to meet you.
Yeah.
I know we had people phone up yesterday we spoke to, oh my God, he's here, I've got to come and meet him. What has that been like for you?
Man, it makes me cry almost, you know, man. It gets me in the heart because the fans are, you know, I know that they gave so much back to the Ultimate Warrior. They were so instrumental in the success I had in that industry and stuff. And there's just an incredible bond that character made with his fans. And it's really special for me to go out, you know, and meet the fans.
Was there ever a time when you thought, when you actually, in the heyday of the WWE, when you WWF as it was then, sorry, and you just thought, I can't believe I'm doing this, you know, I can't believe what these people are actually cheering here for what I'm doing. Was there ever that ever crossed your mind, or?
No. I guess I'm sort of a paradox because as appreciative as I am for the fans and as much as it really touches my heart, I'm not modest that they got behind it because I busted my ass. No, I mean I busted my ass for that reason. When I got in the business, I wasn't 2nd or 3rd generation wrestler. I had no dream to be a wrestler. But when I got in it, I used my head to succeed in it. I knew that they were starting to use guys with bodies. I knew I had more knowledge than other guys. I had a bodybuilder's physique. There were a lot of guys with big arms and big chests, big shoulders, but they didn't have legs. They didn't have stomach muscles. I knew that if I enshrouded my body in a character that was energetic and comic-like, that I could succeed in the business like nobody else did. So it was always, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy for me because I pursued the business in that way. I would not have stayed in the wrestling business just to be a wrestler. And it was, to get that back was really great. I mean, that was one of the greatest things in doing the career. It was never for the celebrity or fame. That's probably why I've been mischaracterized so much. So many guys have had fallouts with the McMahons, or they talk about how they can't stand the way the business operates, they can't stand the politics of it, but they keep going back. Yeah. They never go on and do anything else. True. And the reason is because they have an ego that's unhealthy. They're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I never did that. It was always amazing to Vince. Like the first time I had 3 separate fallouts with him. The 3rd one led to a 5-year lawsuit. But after the first one, he thought for sure that within 24 hours of it, he was going to be calling and begging him back to have my job. And I was going for 8 or 9 months. And I was living in the mountains in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And they tracked me down, you know, found me out. And I never called them to go back. They always called me. I was always happy in my life doing other things. I never had any doubts that I could do something else.
Speaking of the McMahons you have, what is the relationship like with them now? Is it you've not spoken to them, or is it just...
No, the last time I saw them was the day that my legal battle settled with them. The trial was supposed to start, and we worked all day. The judge worked as a mediator, and we settled the suit that night. That's the last time I've had any communication with them whatsoever.
What made you decide? I mean, you've changed your name now from Jim Hellwig to the Warrior.
Right.
What prompted that change?
Yeah, just the one name of Warrior. My kids have it as their surname. My wife took it as her surname. I changed it back in '93. It had a lot to do where I thought my entertainment career was going to go. I went out to California after one of the fallouts I had with Vince, and like any goal that I'd ever had in my life, I wanted to succeed. And I had this look, and I was a big fan of Arnold when he did the Conan series. Yeah. And when Arnold first signed on for that, he was going to do 5 movies. And then he did Terminator, and his price, his ticket went up, price for doing the movies went up, so he never finished the series. Yeah. And my idea with an agent guy, a very high-profile agent out there at ICM, who I was working with at the time, my idea was to take my look and go to pursue and finish the Conan series. It was a natural, But at that time, the entertainment industry wasn't as acceptable to professional wrestling. It still had a huge stigma attached to it. They had not yet stepped over the threshold into legitimate entertainment like Rock and those other guys had now. And I lived out there for 6 months. I did the acting classes and the calls, the audition calls and stuff. And the phoniness was just, I couldn't take it. I mean, I just couldn't take it. I'd already paid huge dues to become successful in professional wrestling. And I just thought, this isn't going to work for me because I can't handle the two-faced, behavior and talking out of both sides of your mouth and stuff. I couldn't take it anymore. And I was successful and I knew I could do other things. I came back to Arizona where I was living at the time, and I just became an entrepreneur and started my, my own stuff. But that was the reason why I originally changed the name of Warrior. I thought if I'm going to go for it, go for it. Yeah. I wasn't interested, and you've seen a lot of those action stars over the years. They try to take a stab at doing the serious movies, like Van Damme did and Sylvester Stallone did. He got the big gut for that one movie and stuff like that. My deal was to go do action movies. Yeah. And I had such incredible self-discipline that I would do anything to make it happen. In fact, I told the people when I first sat with them, I said, don't pay me anything to do the movies. Use the celebrity I have, but pay others that have the talent to be around me so they can help me do it right. Yeah. And out there in California, they didn't get that. They thought I was cuckoo, And, but later, changing my name came to mean a lot more to me. Your name used to mean something. Going back to the times, that's why movies like Braveheart and Gladiator and stuff, they strike such a chord with people because they're such a traditional thing to them. And they appeal to everybody on a really soul-like level. And I met my wife, I was a girlfriend at the time, and when we decided that we were going to get married, I'd already come a long way. I'd started writing a lot and thinking about my philosophy of life and my speaking career and what's missing here, how come people don't get this about their lives, and the dysfunctional family relationships people had and the disconnection people had to traditional stuff that was really, at the end of the day, the stuff that's important, the stuff that even if you don't get it for 80 years of your life, when you're laying on death's bed, you get it. Yeah. Your last 24 hours, you start getting it. Wow, I missed it. I didn't get the answer to it. It's all that traditional bonded stuff.
And the country that America was forged on.
Yeah, it used to be that way, the coat of arms and what your name meant. Like I go out and speak at college campuses and somebody, ethnic, will stand up and say, I want my ethnicity recognized, it's, what about America being diverse and stuff like that? And I say to them, they act like they've been prejudiced against, that there's a prejudice against them, typically a black person or something. And I'll say, tell me something about your grandpa and grandma. And they can't tell me anything. Look, if you want me to respect your ethnicity, then tell me something about your ancestry. Yeah. So anyway, I grew up, and my mom raised me and my 4 brothers and sisters really great. And I come from a loving, caring family. I don't have any horror stories, like for Sally Jesse Raphael or anything like that. But my dad let us down, and most family people do let others down. They don't tell you anything about what your grandpas and your ancestry, what they thought about life, when they came here and stuff. And me and my wife decided that was important. That's what we were going to do with our family. So we have, mission statement and coat of arms. And it doesn't matter that it's contemporary times. I don't care that you can get room service 24 hours a day and you can watch television 24 hours. My kids, 4 and 2, they are already getting it. It's deep in them already, man, that their lives mean something. And so we took on the name. We're just starting anew.
That's
yeah.
Very, very cool, and it's obviously in keeping with all your values. And you mentioned, obviously, that a lot of people are returning to the rings with their egos and things. If you were to, obviously, if you were, I don't even begin to know if you would ever turn to return to the ring, especially, Hogan has recently famously done it, and the response has been amazing. Would you ever, if you considered doing it, who would you go back to fight just one more time? I
don't know. I say to people, never say never, but there'd almost have to be a crystal ball, so I could see exactly how it was going to happen. Yeah. That there wasn't no getting screwed over type of way about it. Yeah. And
so if it was on your terms, then if it was how it benefited the warrior and your family, then it would be something you consider. It's something you could control.
Yeah, if I could control it, up to a certain point. Look, I don't have all the ideas. When I went back to work with WCW in 1988, I wanted to take the warrior character to another level. In the first 15 minutes I was in the ring with Hogan doing the good versus evil thing, I was taking a lot of the learning I'd done. It was a huge platform for them to go with, but nobody there wanted to get it. They were already, entertainment had already decided, let's do what the lowest thing is to do. They didn't want to put the time in to make it really powerful and unique. Yeah. And it wouldn't, you know, it would take other people than me to make it happen, even with creative ideas. But I think there would be, I think the warrior is a character, Ultimate Warrior was a character that can make it happen. Yeah. But I don't know, it'd be a lot of work involved.
And I'm sure from speaking to you today that it would be something you could do and do 100%. But before we let you go, what does the future hold for you?
Well, I've been working on my books for a couple years. You know, I want to write my books. I think it's a cop-out to have somebody ghostwrite your book, and I think it'd be a cop-out for me just to tell about my road travel experiences. There's a lot of great stories I have. I think, first of all, I got a different story to tell, and it's not an in-house book. It's not being written while I'm working at WWE, and they got an editor overseeing the project. I had, you know, I'm the only guy that ever stood up to Vince and fought him on principle, really. You know, it was a breach of contract, yes, is what it started, but then it became a thing about who owns this. Yeah. And, you know, I've never been the guy to say, look, I alone created what it became, you know, how worldwide known. It's a two-way street. But you can't just recreate characters. If they would, you know, you can't, I mean, even in this interview, you know, I'm cognizant of the fact, you know, that I'm an intense individual. You can't just take somebody and make them Ultimate Warrior. No. That came from the inside. The same thing with the Hulk Hogan or a Brock Lesnar or a Rock or any of those people. But they took the position that, no, we created everything. We gave you every idea that you ever had. You know, we told you everything that you said. We got your costumes. We gave you all our creative leads. And that's just a bunch of bunk. And I'm going to continue doing that. And, you know, there's so many different ways to make a living, you know, to pay your bills. Big deal. But there are a lot of people that, you know, they have a life, but they're not living. Yeah. You know, and so I'm living.
So you have a website as well.
UltimateWarrior.com. I do a lot of writing there. There's a lot of writing. I've been doing there since the early 90s. I just hooked up with a guy. A lot of people over the years have asked me about working out. And, you know, I've been into working out and stuff for a long, long time. And it's kind of sickening to me because the business it's a $6 billion a year business because they keep people confused. Yeah. It's real simple, anything. Like with your radio program and what you want to do here, whatever your dreams are, just do it. Don't ask people how to do it, just do it. Yeah. When somebody comes up and asks me how do you be a pro wrestler, what they want me to do is they want me to give them a phone number and they want me to give them a guarantee and they want me to hold their hand to the ring and they want me to make sure that they make all the money and have all this success. Yeah. Do it. Quit asking people. Whatever time you spend asking people how to do something, just stop that and start doing it because you're going to make mistakes. Ultimate Warrior, Dingo Warrior was an Ultimate Warrior. No. You know, and how I started out first speaking isn't the speaker that I am today or the speaker that I'm going to be. So it's, just keep on getting on. I pay my bills. I don't ask anybody to pay my bills. I'm happy. I'm watching my babies grow up. I want to enjoy that. And I'm still going to be around.
So the message, one last message for your fans would be, if you could tell them anything for today, then what would it be?
That whatever they got as a kid watching Ultimate Warrior, that commitment, that dedication, that passion, that intensity for putting on, you know, watching me perform, watching Ultimate Warrior perform, and everything I gave in that they need to transpose that in their own lives, man, and they need to take it up the next level. If they're sitting there wondering what it was, because it's you know, you're on the spot when you ask somebody that question, what was it about the Ultimate Warrior that people really got? You know, why is Ultimate Warrior something that always comes up with wrestling talk all the time? Why do people still want to know? I mean, think of the long list of other characters there have been. Nobody ever asked about them. I mean, from 90 to the year 2000 or to now, I was in the business 18 months. All the other time I was gone. I mean, and so I would say, out of respect for your own fanship for the character, you know, or being a fan of it, take it to the next level, you know, in your own life. Do something with your life that's going to live forever.